jump in the back of the pickup truck and join us for a ride back to the good old days.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
A nostalgic podcast based on entertainment and memories from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Come with us and revisit the best time ever. So jump on your BMX bike, pop a heavy metal tape into your Walkman, and hang on tight while you go back to the past with us.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hey, welcome to Pastimes at 80's High. Got another list for you today, a top 7. We are going to do our favorite cartoons. Now, these are going to be, traditional cartoons, whether it's shorts or whatnot, but not movies. For example, no one can be picking Shrek or, a 2-hour movie type of cartoon. And just in the interest of getting the ball rolling, you get to start out today, my brother. But first, let me just let everyone know that I have Donald. Hello, Donald.
Hello.
Kevin.
Hello.
Mark.
Hey, AJ.
All right, fellas.
Let's go!
Yeah, I was hoping someone would pick up on that.
In this group, the man in the back,
Yes.
everyone attack.
All right, so Mark, number 7 to you.
We're doomed. We'll never make it. The Adventures of Gulliver ran from 1968 to 1969. It was a mainstay on the Banana Splits and shows like that.
Yes.
It had, Gary Gulliver. He was the normal size guy. And he had Furtacia, Bunker, Eager, and my buddy Glum.
Love Glum.
I mean, Glum is the only reason this is my number 7 pick. You're not a failure, Furtacia. You just can't do anything right.
Exactly.
And Glum reminded me of my incredibly awesome uncle, Uncle Ray.
Yes.
And so did Mo Howard. But he kind of is, how I try to run my life. And let's see, we're done for. What we have here is normal sized people, and these guys are about the size, half the size of a mouse.
The Lilliputians.
The Lilliputians.
Exactly.
And they had a tough time. How would you like to walk around?
Yeah, they were challenged.
Imagine, me cutting the grass, and here comes Glum and these other guys, and all of a sudden I chop them up into little bits, but they're really tiny. And but yeah, Glum was so much fun in such a melancholy way.
Incredible character.
Right. Very similar to the Eeyore. Very similar character trait.
I'll just float here a little longer.
Awesome. Yeah. Great pick. All right. So 7 to me then. Let's see. So nobody is probably going to know this one, but I could not put it on my list. And I remember coming home from school, elementary school. This started in 1978, and it was called Battle of the Planets.
I remember that.
Now, I always thought the show was called G-Force, but it was, these 5 orphans that, I can't remember. I don't think they had superpowers. They were just, fighting for Earth, and they were going against Zoltar from planet Spectra. And I just remember always thinking one of the cartoon chicks was hot, but it was just so much fun.
That's a whole different episode.
To be
hot cartoon chicks.
Absolutely. But it was awesome, and it was like they had real life situations in it too. Like the orphans were all like, regular people, and they would cover normal problems and issues. So anyway, I couldn't leave it off. Battle of the Planets, also known as Alias, a.k.a. Aka G-Force.
Interesting.
Yeah. So number 7 to you, Dongo.
Thank you. This was a tough one because of the numerous amounts of shows that I enjoyed and we all enjoyed and we kind of all shared. Like when you were talking about we're doomed for rotation. I mean, that we were joking about that for all the time.
It's iconic.
So I picked the shows, I picked the cartoons that that I personally watched, not necessarily what was the best or the most popular, but I'm sure some of mine fall in there, but I almost gave my number 7. And again, these aren't ranked in order of what's best and what's not. It's just 7. They're all equal in my mind. But I almost gave it away by when we were doing our sound check. Testes. 1, 2, 3 testes. And that's Beavis and Butthead.
Yes.
It was in the 90s, so it's a little later. I was a little older when it hit, but I love the two stupid idiots that just are stupid and stupid humor and, just making fun. Like I still today will always pull a, you said butt, and just stupid things. Whenever there's a sexual innuendo, it's butthead pops
What
into
the
my
hell
head.
is that?
And the music.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're rocking out. Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na.
Some of the songs they didn't. Some of the songs they didn't like though were songs that I loved. That kind of pissed me off. But.
Yeah.
The kid with the winger shirt.
Oh yeah, no, that crushed Winger.
But I just loved how
they
their like teacher was like a hippie. All right, guys, let's go. Let's be good. And they're just like, you're stupid.
Awesome.
I think today Beavis and Butthead would probably be like a legitimate presidential ticket.
Well,
smarter than
I'm glad you mentioned that. So Mike Judge
yes.
is the creator of Beavis and Butthead. And
Yes.
he has made such poignant classics as Idiocracy.
Idiocracy for sure.
That's
Prophetic.
one. Yeah.
Which Idiocracy, and I think we might have mentioned this before, but I know what you're saying. It started out as a comedy, and now it's a documentary.
Now it's like, holy shit.
It's like,
yeah,
wow,
Is he
exactly.
like
it's
coming back from the
happening.
future?
It's like Orwell.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
1984
It
and
wasn't
Brave-
a blueprint.
Brave
It
New
was. It was a warning.
He also did Office Space, which
Yes.
is a classic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Gonna need you to go
Yeah.
ahead and come in on Saturday too. Yeah.
so just an awesome comedian and a writer.
All right, Kevin, 7 to you.
All right. Just like Donnie just said, there's so many things that could be chosen. My short list was like 5,000. They just kept flowing out. So I had to find a way in my mind to whittle it down to a tight 7. And I kind of might have taken a different direction, but I did. I took the ones that stuck with me, that became part of my world. So my number 7 pick, Michigan J. Frog. One Froggy Night.
What?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime.
Oh,
That's a classic.
All of these other cartoons that we're going to talk about today, you have repetitive characters that either had the same kind of a catchphrase or, they did the same kind of things. One episode, that was it.
Yeah, that one stuck with
One
me too.
Froggy Night.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And anybody that hasn't seen it, Michigan J. Frog,
Now,
the guy
what was that
digs
a
him
part
up.
of? Was that what universe?
It was
in?
Looney Tunes.
It was,
It was
okay,
Looney
yeah.
Tunes. Yep, Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so the man finds the frog, and he starts
Belting it out,
and
yeah.
belting out the song and whatever. So he gets all excited and he puts him in the box, and he's going to be rich. And every time he puts him in front of somebody that's a producer,
Yeah.
ribbit.
Yeah.
He doesn't do
I actually remember that.
He just doesn't do
Yeah,
anything.
it's good irony. It's
Oh,
good,
it's so
tragedy.
great.
all
Yeah,
in one.
exactly.
Yeah.
Such a great, memorable, and it's a one shot.
One shot deal,
and,
yeah.
and it's right up there with all the other ones with the one episode.
Damn right.
That one stuck with me big time.
Absolutely.
The
So
ribbit.
one froggy night, one froggy evening. I'm
Hello,
sorry.
my baby. Hello,
Yeah.
my darling. Hello, my ragtime
Oh
gal.
my God, I actually remember that. Yeah.
Of course. It was friggin' great. All right. So, yeah, I got another short later, too, that, it's not on my list, but I want to discuss it if nobody else has it. But we'll get to that. So, number 6 to you, Mark.
I fights to the finish because I eats my spinach. It's Popeye the Sailor Man.
Awesome.
Okay, so this show is older than you think.
Oh, yeah.
1930s, it ended 1957.
Wow.
And, I really felt bad for Bluto and Brutus. Popeye was always trying to take olive oil from her.
And why? She wasn't a looker in any
She was not a looker.
No, there was a looker on that show. Her name was Alice the Goon. Such an incredibly hot woman.
I used to have nightmares about, what was it, a flower pot on her head? I mean, it scared, Alice the Goon scared the hell out of me.
I love Popeye. I love Alice the Goon. I'm sorry. She was beautiful. If you can't handle the truth, well, F you. So, anyway, we also had Wimpy. He loved burgers.
Yep.
But that...
Gladly pay you Tuesday.
Yeah, but he never paid. He never paid. Not
Yep.
a cent. And, it was a great movie. And cartoon. And
It was a movie. Yeah.
And this
Became a movie.
Well, yes, with Robin Williams. But anyway, back in those days, when we had vegetables, it was always in a can. But boy, oh boy, did I feel strong when I
Eat spinach.
Yes, I did.
So I don't want to cut you off. Do you have more to go? Because I have a comment, but I don't want to steal it
I'm
from
done.
you.
That's what I had to say.
All right. Well, I just want to continue one little tidbit on Popeye because I did remove it from my list. But one of the best memories in my life with our dad, Mark, I'll never forget it as long as I live. We're coming home from striper fishing, and we're at the Dover toll booth on the Spalding Turnpike. And the woman, we pull up, and she goes, 75 cents. It was 50 cents, but we had the trailer and the boat.
Right.
So 75 cents, and my dad is rifling through his pocket trying to find the quarters, and she's going, 75 cents. 75 cents. And he just turns and goes, I know you old sea hag. And someone you didn't mention was the sea hag. And I
Is that where
loved
the
her.
nice face 75 cents came from? That joke?
75. Roddy Piper.
Oh, okay.
Nice wristband, 75 cents.
All right. So number 6 to me then. And this one is very special to me. Speaking of Roddy Piper, and that is Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. 1985, Saturday mornings. Sorry. But anyway, I just
It ended in 86, actually. But.
loved that show. I mean, they had all the popular wrestlers of the day and the good guys, the heels, all of them. And they would do little skits between like the commercial breaks, and they'd have the real guys on there, like our favorite one, Mark. What is it? With the
Roddy Piper.
Oh, I'm thinking of Joe.
Oh, Joe. Yes. Well, I'm going to talk about this one possibly.
Okay, I'll leave it to that. But anyway, the Iron Sheik went in for a haircut, and Joe took too much off. Of course, the Iron Sheik is bald, and everyone knows that. But just... it was fun. It was very fun to watch.
And Gene Mean is on there all the time.
Yeah, Mean Gene is always on.
No,
Yep.
you brought up the Sheik. Mr. Gene Mean.
Yes. All right. So anyway, that, and I had one other thing that I always loved in the opening when you'd hear Hillbilly Jim say, I'm a coming Hulk. But it was just a really, really fun show to me that I couldn't leave off my list. So that brings us to 6 to you, Donald.
My number 6 is a little bit of an odd cartoon. It was The Mighty Heroes.
Yeah.
So I
forgot The Mighty Heroes.
I think
I
why
loved
I
them.
like this one is they had, these superheroes, and they were like odd superheroes.
Is this one that goes
They had like,
String Man or Rope Man.
Rope Man, Diaper Man.
Yes. That was a fun one.
Cuckoo Man.
Yeah.
Doc Cuckoo. Yeah. The tornado guy, which he was like a news broadcaster, weatherman or whatever.
Awesome
and
show.
That was a
it
fun
was just
show.
stupid funny, It only ran for one season, but it was like 21 episodes. But it was just funny because the baby had like a, hey, yeah, you like it, yeah. like
Like he should have had a cigar in his mouth.
And Rope Man was a Navy guy. And then when he turned into Rope Man, he had like a British accent. It was very proper, and the Cuckoo
I used
Man.
to play that on the guitar just for fun. I wish I had the guitar with me right now and I could play that. 'Cause I remember
a
that
lot of these
song.
cartoons, like I'm musical, so a lot of them, the theme songs and the music for them is what grabbed me.
Damn right.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. And that's what makes this podcast so much friggin' fun is that one never popped up to me. That was one of my favorites.
I did see that one, and I loved it. I
Yeah.
had to take it off
Yeah.
the list.
It would have been
Yeah.
on mine for
It was-
sure. I loved it.
I had to cut some that I really enjoyed too. It was hard, but I went with this one because I just really enjoyed the characters.
Yeah, not a lot of repeats,
yeah.
so that's
Donnie
great.
just said something that's absolutely amazingly true. If you ask and they answered you honestly, 98% of our population in this country, where did you learn about classical music? The real answer is cartoons.
Cartoons.
Oh yeah,
That's when
absolutely.
we
Yeah.
that's when we
Yeah.
got Brahms Lullaby, Mozart, all of those came from the cartoons that we watched. That's how we know them.
Oh yeah,
Oh, awesome.
absolutely.
Awesome. So 60, you, Kev?
So my number 6, I did not know, and I saw it everywhere when I looked it up. I always knew him as Killer, but apparently he's Beaky Buzzard.
Beaky Buzzard.
Right. But I always knew it was Killer because that's what his mom says. Killer, I need you to go get something for dinner. Nope.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
No. You were so
And then he'd take
dumb.
off and you're like, party. It was absolutely hilarious. And
He
he'd
was
go after
awesome.
Bugs Bunny, who of course always bested him like
Outwitted.
he did everybody else. How could he not outwit a dumb young buzzard? But just one of the greatest cartoon voices. I mean, just
Absolutely.
I mean, that was just, I mean, anytime somebody does something stupid, you can go, and it's like, that's Killer.
Yep.
Why, Killer? What's the matter, you? Get the move on and get the gun and scram!
I never knew the Killer part. Oh, that's great.
So if you and I always knew him as Killer. And like I said, I looked it up and it came up as Beaky Buzzard. I'm like, I never knew him as Beaky Buzzard. So like one of the first ones that he's in is like all his brothers are like super on point military,
Normal,
like they're taking
smart.
off like they're
Exactly.
taking off like airplanes on a destroyer on a aircraft carrier. You know?
Exactly.
And then Killer comes out and his mother goes, Killer, and he goes, cool.
It's kind of like, well, no, I'll say it later.
Something later.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So, Mark, we are now up to number 5.
Well, I have a show that was very special to me back in the 70s. It ran from 1959 to 1972. It's called Deputy Dog.
Yeah.
Nice one.
I mean, he wasn't the smartest little deputy, but he always got his man.
Yes, he did.
And, he only got paid what he was worth. Unfortunately, that was nothing at all, according to the sheriff, which really, is really not good.
Come back here, you food-grabbing varmint, you!
But you have Muskie. You have Vincent Van Gogh. What happened?
Vincent. Yeah.
Vincent Van Gogh. You even have Tycoon. I mean, Muskie would always say, "It's possible. It's possible."
It's possible.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of great episodes. I remember watching this with my late cousin John McDonnell. Had a lot of good fun with him and his brother Steve. And we used to just watch his show all the time. It was low budget and everything, but they had the ice house, they had the hen house, and they were Muskie and Vincent Van Gogh and sometimes Tycoon were always trying to steal stuff out of every place.
Naturally.
And actually Vincent Van Gogh became the sheriff at one time because they stole an election, and but he was very good at it. He was really doing a good job. So, but it was just a fun show.
Incredible show. We
Yeah,
were
great
looking it
show.
up this morning before you got here because I knew you'd have it on your list. Oh, awesome pick. All right. Number 5. Let's see. I have Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. This is kind of where I was going with, obviously, we couldn't just say Looney Tunes because
Right.
we'd have
Right.
how many so far, but just you had to feel bad for the poor guy. That poor Solomon Batch just always, got outwitted by the Roadrunner. And, I always go to the Twisted Sister videos with this.
Right.
Because it brings me to that PMRC hearing that we always talk about, but just with Dee Snider in there and Tipper Gore coming down on him with, the videos and how violent they were. And he just simply said, come on, it's based on Wile E. Coyote.
Right.
It's, he gets hammered on, blown up, smashed, flattened, and bam, he pops right back. And that's what those videos were like. And anyway, not to go off on a tangent with that, but that cartoon was just almost one where you sat there and you wanted, the damn coyote to win.
That Roadrunner was very sadistic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And
He was.
And
Yeah.
it was, it was really unfair too, because it wasn't bad enough that the guy, he did himself in 99.9% of the time
With his
in
Acme
the
stuff.
quote unquote reality of it. And then just when you think he's getting somewhere, the Roadrunner paints something on the side of a
The
stone.
cave,
He paints,
exactly.
he paints
right into
the tunnel, and then it just breaks reality.
Right, the Roadrunner goes right through it.
the tunnel, and then wham! It's like the guy's got it hard enough in the reality of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we got to
It's
start
kind of like
bending.
the common man versus the man,
The
elite.
Superman,
Yeah.
exactly.
They can get away with everything, and we have it's
Exactly.
a struggle and a grind.
all
for
the
of us.
rules apply.
So I'm number 5, right?
Well, can I say one more thing?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure there was an episode where the coyote actually caught the Roadrunner,
Yes.
and he had no idea what to do.
Well, I believe in that episode, I believe that the Roadrunner was extremely large and the coyote was very tiny.
Oh,
I
well,
think
no wonder
that's-
he
I
didn't know
think
what to
that's
do.
right.
See what I mean? That damn Roadrunner was sadistic.
Exactly.
And all I was going to say is my number 5 is the Roadrunner as well, so we can continue the conversation.
Okay.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
What I'd like to add to it was something my dad and I used to watch together, and he would crack up. There's 3 tropes that are famous for the Roadrunner, and one is like the falling off the cliff, kind of. It's like like a little, and my dad just cracked up for whatever reason that cracked him up every time. The other one is when there's like a boulder above his head, he pulls out like a tiny little parasol or whatever, and it smashes him. And the other famous cartoon thing that he did was like go off the edge of a cliff and like realize he's off the edge of the cliff,
and he would stay.
and it would be a few seconds before he fell, so he'd be like help or whatever.
He'd
just
hold
fall.
the sign up, and then
Those
the
are
sign
funny.
would stay
Yeah,
there.
right.
and
That's
he'd
funny
fall.
shit.
Right. Because gravity doesn't exist until you realize it.
Right. But I guess there was a cartoon lawsuit where the Coyote sued Acme Company for all the bombs
bombs
and
that
missiles
blew up on
and stuff that
himself,
didn't work and
exactly.
stuff. That's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Incredible. What a cartoon.
That's a
man.
classic.
It
Absolutely.
sure as hell is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Number 5 to you, Kev.
Well, and because of that, I'm going to keep it going. But with a different caveat. See,
Okay.
my favorite Wile E. Coyote is with Sam the Shepherd Dog,
Oh, yeah.
which was kind of
Oh, I couldn't remember if that was Coyote. Or
yeah,
if
that was
Sam
Wile E.
the
Coyote. Sam the Shepherd Dog. So they would drive to work.
Yep.
They would punch in, morning Sam,
Morning, Fred.
morning Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph.
And then they'd go about their business of destroying each other.
Right.
And then they'd punch out and they'd have
Right.
lunch.
See you
and they'd
tomorrow.
go back. And I mean, doesn't that, whether it's politics or
Right.
whatever else, that's what our lives are. It's like, okay, you punch in and then you fight like hell for something and then you punch out. And it's just like, it's
Right.
like,
I love that. You know,
We're-
how they were like, morning.
yep. We'll be
to
civil
work.
until we hit the time clock and then we're
was
on our way.
classic. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely there was a degree of Wile E. Coyote being
Right.
all of us.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
all,
absolutely.
Yeah.
all a little bit Wile E. Coyote.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So that's number 4 to you then, right, brother?
Yes, it's what you already picked. Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling It only ran for 2 years, 85 to 86, which places me in Hinsdale, New Hampshire at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I watched 3 episodes of this yesterday, and I could not stop laughing. I could not stop laughing. You know, you have, the faces are Hillbilly Jim, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Wendy Richter, and Tito Santana.
I forgot Chico was on there.
Yeah, Chico Santana was on there. And then the heels were Piper, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, Mr. Fuji, Fabulous Moolah, probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely.
Maybe
Learned
the
my
most
diet
beautiful
from her.
woman I've ever seen in my life. And Big John Studd was on there once in a while. And one thing about this show, they had these little, when they'd go to commercial, they'd come back and they would have little skits. And a lot of them were with Mean Gene Okerlund and Brother Brain, Bobby the Brain Heenan. And it was just so funny. One of them, Heenan has a travel agency, and it's like $500 to get to Bermuda, which, I mean, like, that's incredible, I would think. But no, that was too much for Mean Gene. Then it was $250, and it was a 2-stop. Okay, $50. I'm very intrigued. Bobby, what does the $50 entail? Airmail. And he puts a bunch of stamps on his head.
Yeah, that was just great, that show.
And it was just really funny. Another one, Captain Lou Albano gets evicted from his apartment. And this is when he's a babyface. So, but anyway, he moves into Hulk Hogan's place. And he's just the worst roommate ever. Not that he had no bad intentions. And at one point, he even tried to do his laundry and the dishes at the same time. That didn't work out. Everything came flying out.
He was a bit slovenly, too.
He was very slovenly. This show was so funny. And Mean Gene used to pop in. He popped in at the wedding. It's down home Mean Gene here.
Yeah, he was the greatest.
It was so funny.
Oh, the greatest commentator of all time, without question.
So that's my number 4 pick.
All right.
That's all nice. Cakes.
So number 4 to me, and this one, I mean, I kind of had to keep it as a whole because it's the name of the, show, and that would be the Super Friends. This to me, I just, you got the Justice League and the Legion of Doom. Just, I mean, being a little kid, and, I was always a Superman guy. But I was always a DC guy, actually, way more than Marvel. And back then, that's when DC used to do it right. They can't seem to get anything right nowadays. But just, you had, your typical characters on there. And then you had, the Wonder Twins. Every once in a while, they'd have a pop-in, too, like with Flash or Atom. The Atom. Remember the Atom? And Mitzelplick, who, you had to say his name backwards, but just, it was so fun. And just to be a little boy, and, they were heroes to me. It wasn't as stupid as it is now when you go back.
Well, you guys did that to me about Batman, and I'm still upset about it, but let that go.
Was there a monkey? Why am I?
That's Mitzelplick.
Oh, that's Mitzelplick. Okay.
Mitzelplick, yeah. He was kind of a monkey looking thing.
Yeah.
He was gray, I think, but Mitzelplick. But anyway, I won't go into too much detail about that one. So number 4 to you, Donald.
Right, because my number 4 is also...
You can't be.
Yeah,
You're in
the
line.
Super Friends. Yeah, yeah. I knew we were going to have a lot of, because we shared a lot of the same. But yeah, I focused more on the Wonder Twins because for whatever reason I seemed to focus on them a lot. I kind of thought they were cool, but yet stupid because they could metamorphosize, but only into certain things. Like she could only, what was her name? Zen.
I forget.
Zen and Janya. So Janya could only metamorphosize into an animal of some kind, and Zen could only metamorphosize into like water.
It's
like
so
they
form of ice.
Element.
Exactly.
So they were changelings.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
You get to be any animal you want. I get to be a base material,
an ice cube. Yeah, exactly.
I can be an element. Sweet.
But I love the Justice League and the Hall of.
I
loved Wonder Woman in the plane. You could see the outline of the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which always kind of threw me off a little bit because you could still see them.
Yeah, you can see her, so it's not that invisible. Yeah,
I can still shoot you down.
That would,
right. You can still see the outline of
that
it.
would kind of be unsettling if you just saw Wonder Woman fly by 10,000 feet above you,
right?
Just in the sitting position with nothing around her.
But the Wonder Twins, I want to go back to that because didn't they also have a sidekick that I can't
They
think
did,
of?
and I can't remember. It was
they definitely had. Maybe that's the monkey too.
That's what I thought he was.
Because they definitely did have something there.
Yeah, they also have a pet monkey, Gleek.
Gleek.
There
What
it
the
is.
hell is a gleek?
Gleek. Gleek.
a little monkey.
And
Yeah.
gloop. And I'm thinking of, I'm not going to say it just
There
in
you go.
case.
In case.
But Gleek, absolutely. All right, why don't we go number 4 to you, Kev?
All right. Number 4 for me was voiced by none other than Scatman Crothers. I'm talking about Penrod Penry Pooch, a.k.a. Hong Kong Phooey.
Hong Kong
Love Hong
Phooey.
Kong
Yes.
He was the janitor at the police station.
Yeah.
And Rosemary, the secretary or dispatcher, would always tell the Sarge about whatever crime was going down. And Penry would slide in behind the vending machine, get kind of trapped inside of a file cabinet, but he'd come out in his Hong Kong Phooey outfit with his mail order kung fu guide. No, that's how he learned the martial arts, is he had a mail order guide to learn martial arts, but he'd never got anywhere without Spot because he was a complete bumbling idiot. Great to hear Scatman Crothers' voice, and it was just a funny and,
You'll have to
and a
cue up
great
the
intro.
song
And
for that.
Hong
Kong Phooey.
Right.
Hong Kong Phooey, #1 super guy. Hong Kong Phooey, quicker than the human eye. He's got style, a groovy smile, and a vibe that just won't stop. When the going gets rough, he's super tough with a Hong Kong Phooey chop. Hong Kong Phooey, #1 super guy.
That is back.
All right. Well, anyway, let's see here. That's a great pick, though, Kevin. Another one that went under my radar.
Love the Hong Kong Phooey.
All right. So we're number 3 to you, brother.
Well, this is pretty much a show about one of my favorite snacks I've ever had, which is a Scooby snack.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now.
Yes, you got Scooby, you got Shaggy. And by the way, how can that son of a bitch never put on weight? He eats like a freaking pig.
He's got a good constitution.
I guess he does.
Good
I mean, my
metabolism.
God, what's going to happen when he gets older? Of course, in cartoons, they never get older. And you have Fred. Oh, he's so cute. And Thelma, she can't see. And Daphne, she's gorgeous.
I love Daphne.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Velma. Yep.
Velma, that's the one that can't see.
Yep.
But
exactly.
anyway, this show, they go around in their little magic van, and they always run into trouble. They always find things.
Pesky kids.
The mystery machine.
The mystery machine, yes. And a lot of my favorite episodes ended up in amusement parks. And
Yeah.
but the
Like
good news
Kiss.
is there was never anyone else in there. Just that them
The
and
abandoned amusement park.
Volleyball.
I mean, it was a very paranormal show, as you know.
It was,
We
yeah.
had ghosts, ghouls, phantoms, vampires.
Yep. But
It
they
wa-
always found it wasn't a ghost, though. They always
Every
debunked it,
single
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
They
And of
found
course,
them out.
Shaggy and Scooby were, they did pretty well for themselves.
Meddling kids.
They did.
They were
But
pussies,
they were
though.
always afraid.
Like Shaggy
I mean,
had
their
like
nerves.
uncontrolled anxiety. Like
Shaggy had
yeah,
issues, yeah.
Like Zoinks, man.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think Xanax would have helped him.
No,
I
he
don't
needed
know.
some form of medication. But
Some form.
Like
and
all the
some-
weed he was smoking wasn't enough. I
Right,
mean, come
exactly.
on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had that chin beard, remember? But,
yeah.
But as Donnie alluded to, at the end, and we would have made it if it wasn't for those damn kids.
Those meddling kids.
Pesky
Pesky,
kids.
yeah.
But you know, I mean, I've seen a million episodes. It ran from 69 to 85.
And it keeps actually having rebirths.
Long run, yeah.
Different, you know, they change the animation style, whatever else. So they keep recycling that. So my son, who was born when I was 37,
Right.
still grew up with Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Which
And
is great.
Weird because they weren't like Mythbusters. They weren't seeking out paranormal.
They found them.
They
Right.
it just came upon
it
them.
happened to them.
They were just cruising around, probably smoking weed, you know, in the
I
70s.
think in episode 1, the mystery machine broke down.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's
That
why
happened quite a
Shaggy
bit.
was hungry all the time.
Right. They just
Well,
happen
there
to
are
fall
some-
upon these things.
Yeah, there are some theories there too about what's actually going on because we know that Scooby and Shaggy are always hungry. They're always looking for Scooby snacks. So we
I
are
see what you're
guessing
saying.
they might be smoking a little bit of something. And the
Right.
other thing is, let's be realistic, Fred's wearing an ascot. And he always says, "All right, gang, let's break up."
Yeah.
So
He's just losing Scooby and
Right,
Shaggy
right.
so he can turn the three-way with Velma and Daphne. We know
Yeah.
that's what's going
he's
on.
like a spoiled rich kid that's taking
Yeah.
daddy's money for drugs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
and he
just going to shut everyone up real quick so I can go to my number 3, which is Scooby-Doo. And one thing that you were saying, Kev, about being so many versions, the one that I loved said 69 or 70 when it started, and it's Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yes.
And it's
We got some work.
it's the original, though, you know, the good ones. Like, I can still see the
Scooby-Doo,
not
opening.
Where are you?
Not Scrappy Doo.
got some work
Exactly.
to do now. Dee-dee-dee-dee.
So anyway, you ice holes, just a great show. Kevin, you alluded to it. Obviously, Scooby and Shag were always stoned. And I think the Scooby snacks might have had some weed in them as well.
Mushrooms or
something.
yeah.
But
Hallucinogens of some kind.
Could be.
I must be the naive one here because that never once crossed my mind. Not
Oh,
for a
then
second.
you are definitely naive.
It didn't
to
when
that
I was a kid watching the show, but
Well, I
as an
haven't watched
adult,
the show for a long
reminiscing
time.
back
so.
to it, it's like, yeah, they were a bunch of kids in the 60s, 70s driving around in a van, drugging, and just happened to fall upon all kinds of weird shit.
At least Scooby and Shaggy were for sure.
Right.
But anyway, just that version was the best. They got, you know, you got the right voices, you know, over here, Scoob. And just,
Good one.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just,
Well, you had
it got a little ridiculous, and then their voices start changing. And, you know, so I mean, there's, well, I won't go there yet because I still have more of a list here. So I'm just going to go number 3 to you, Don.
I think Frank Welker was there throughout doing the voices, and then of course Casey Kasem was
Casey, yeah.
was there. So
Yeah.
great voice actor.
Incredible voice. Mhm.
I'm Casey Kasem,
So number
the
3 to you,
long
then.
distance dedication.
Number 3 to you.
Number 3 to
ISO.
me. So this goes back, full circle back to Kevin and the Frog, where it's like one single episode, but there's multiple episodes of, and of course I'm talking about Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
Bugs Bunny's my number 3. He's an amazing cartoon character. But the one episode that like burned into my brain is he was like a conductor.
Yes.
Leopold. And it was like, you know, classical music, and, you know, it was the long-haired rabbit was the episode. I mean, there's so many Bugs Bunny episodes. I got a Bugs Bunny tattoo because of long story, but
Now covered.
yeah, covered up, and yeah.
You covered it up?
Well, it was a poor rendition. I mean,
It was a
Todd,
rabbit.
Our late great friend Todd drew an amazing picture. It looked like Bugs Bunny with a guitar. It was awesome.
BC Rich.
Gave it to a tattoo artist, and it looked like something my 2-year-old would draw now. This tattoo artist probably had substance abuse issues, and anyways, so that was covered up, you know. But I loved Bugs Bunny's character. He's amazing.
Incredible.
Kill the rabbit.
But the long-haired rabbit, the Leopold, he like impersonates a conductor, and just him like using his hand up and down, and the poor singer is trying to follow him as he's like, "Lo, lo, lo," and then he like leaves him at a high note. "Lo." and then like the
Pretty
glove stays there,
vindictive
and he walks away, and the guy's just holding that note until the building collapses.
The thing about Bugs is that he never, even when you thought he was trapped, it was part of him trapping his enemy. That's what's so great about
He was
Bugs Bunny.
calm, cool, and collected.
Yes,
Yeah.
right up until he
Intelligent.
wasn't.
Right.
But him not being calm, cool, and collected was just the way to rope his opponent
Right.
in
Exactly.
and take him out.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
rope-a-dope.
that's
Yeah.
why I think
Yeah.
he's not on my list because I kind of felt like he would be on everybody
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah.
The ultimate cartoon character.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, and Mel
Absolutely.
Blanc.
Yeah.
I did the same exact thing.
all
First,
of it,
first
thousand
character you
voices.
think of, really,
Yeah.
when you think of
Yeah,
cartoons.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And again, like all of these other ones, went from the original 30s and 40s and whatever cartoons that were beautifully done
Yeah.
and geniusly written to the schlock that they became in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
and whether it was what they make the mini tunes or they were like
Yeah,
babies,
tiny
big
tunes.
tiny
Yeah,
tunes,
tiny
and it
tunes,
just
yeah.
loses what it was.
The joy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So number 3 to you then, Kev.
Number 3 to me is a hot mess because it's all over the place. Is the Rocky Bullwinkle hour?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gee, Bullwinkle. Hey, Rocky,
Awesome.
watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Again? Now here's something we'll hope you really enjoy. But here's the thing. Rocky and Bullwinkle were great, but that's not why that show is on here. And I know I'm going to bastardize what you said about Looney Tunes
I
and all
know
of
that's
that.
where you were going.
But here's the thing. 2 of my favorite cartoons were attached to the Rocky Bullwinkle hour.
Yeah.
Not that
Right.
Natasha and Boris Badenov weren't great. That was
Yeah,
all
they were
good. And Rocky and Bull. But the great part of that show, the greatest part, was Fractured Fairy Tales, which were absolutely hilarious. The voice work was tremendous on them. And they took these actual fairy tales, Rumpelstiltskin or whatever, and they were friggin' hilarious. And then at the very end, you would get 90 seconds of Commander McBragg.
Yeah.
So
And he'd start to explain something, and he's, well, did I ever tell you about? And then the guy would be like, well, no, but I'm trying to, and he was trying to get out of it. And then Commander would, well, we were under siege by, and he'd tell these ridiculous stories about his triumphs in military battle and whatever
Yeah.
else. It was just great. You know, it would start with the globe spinning, and he'd have his big pipe sitting there. And it was just, it was an awesome cartoon. And it was, again, there were multiple pieces of it,
Right.
but it was 90 seconds long. I mean, it wasn't,
exactly.
it wasn't
So,
like
shorts.
Oh, yes,
Question.
exactly.
Yeah.
Rocky was, what animal was he
It
again?
was a flying squirrel.
Flying squirrel, and Bullwinkle was a moose, right?
Yeah, because they
Correct.
always hang out together.
Odd pairing.
Obviously.
Have
I
you
mean,
ever seen a moose and not seen a flying squirrel?
Never once in my life.
Right?
Always together.
Probably
Even when I see
flying
them hit on the
squirrels,
road.
Probably when they're flying and they need a place to land quick.
The moose is the highest
the
thing.
antlers are just
Right.
there.
It's
It's good
yeah.
landing.
Yeah,
landing
Good
exactly.
landing cat pad, exactly. All right. Awesome. So that's number 2 to you, Mark.
Hey!
Yeah,
And I'm gonna sing a song for you.
And Bill's gonna show you a thing or two. Not nowadays.
Me and all the gang.
Learning from each other while we do our thing.
Nah, 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 gonna have a good time. Hey, nah, 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 gonna have a good time. Woo! Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I love that song. And, well, obviously, this.
I'll just go get the eviction notice now.
You know, this is such a show about friendship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolute friendship.
Right.
Kind of reminds me. I was thinking, in lieu of some of the conversations we've had lately, AJ, the people in the Abthorpe gang, we were loyal to each other. We did not talk shit to each other.
Damn right.
You know, or about each other. And these guys didn't either. I mean, maybe
Good point.
Rudy. I mean, Rudy was. He always figured it out at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'd be a pain in the ass.
Oh, he was a
Yes,
pain in
he's
the
like
ass.
the pain, but yeah.
You know, you
Hey,
had.
Rudy.
I mean, you had Fat Albert, you had Dumb Donald, you had Russell, Weird Harold, Mushmouth.
Mushy bubba mouth.
And we used to play that against each other all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, and one of my favorite episodes is when Fat Albert, some idiot says, "This is none of your business." And Fat Albert says, "She's my friend. That makes it my business."
That a boy.
Yeah.
You
You know, a lot of those characters
Freddie.
were based on
true stories.
right, true stories, but the people that Bill Cosby grew up with.
Right.
I listened to a lot
And
of his comedy
relatives.
albums growing up, and he talks about Weird Harold, and
Yeah.
he talks
Right.
about because the one
Dumb
that sticks in my
Donald
mind
and-
is they used to we used to steal the wheels off baby carriages,
Yeah.
and they made go karts and
Yeah.
they raced down this
Yeah.
hill, and everybody had a sound for their go kart and
Yep.
whatever else, and it was
Russell was his brother, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the Junkyard Band was really good.
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they were.
Oh, they
Yeah.
would sing after every
instruments?
episode. Yeah.
Was that Quincy Jones?
Could have been.
I feel like
I
that
have to
might have
look
been
into
a
that.
cute
Yeah.
thing.
I don't want
Yeah.
to cut you off. You done? Because I want to say something about it. But
I feel that's
I'm
gonna come up again.
leave your
Yeah, I'm
thing.
done.
All I just wanted to say is Tweeter and Tinker Bell. What's wrong here?
The
The
Brown,
Brown
Hornet.
Hornet, man. And
Right?
just the scene before they were going to watch it, to see them all running was just all such a joy.
And they were always nervous as hell.
Yeah.
because
For those that don't know,
They didn't wanna
the
miss
Brown
it.
Hornet was a cartoon within a cartoon. So it was a cartoon that they watched in Fat Albert.
And he was a superhero
Yeah.
with his
And they would
sidekick,
sit down to watch it.
Tweeter
What's
and Tinker Bell.
wrong here?
Yes. Awesome.
But there was a movie about it too. I mean, they had
Yeah.
a movie, and they all the guys were at the funeral or at the grave of Fat Albert.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So number 2 to me, and this is something that had to be on here, and it actually, believe it or not, started in 1940. But that wasn't my favorite version of said show, which is Tom and Jerry.
Ooh, good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a really important show to me just because I just watched it so much throughout my childhood. But I will say, although it's sacrilege, that the 70's version where they were buddies really was a big part of my childhood. And I thought it was very endearing. Like they'd kind of hated each other, but loved each other at the same time. And there would
coexisted.
always be
They-
an
exactly.
adversary.
Yeah.
You know, like one of my favorites is they're on the beach with this big rugged cat once, and you know, he's getting pissed off because Tom and Jerry are playing music, so he buries their boombox, and it was very endearing. And I just in the originals how they never showed Tom's owner's, you know, upper body,
Man,
Just the feet.
always
Oh, they
saw
did.
her legs. Yeah. You know, it
Yeah.
just- and then you got, was it Butch? No,
The dog?
Spike.
Spike.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
So
That was dumb, AJ. I knew that.
the only reason that was not on my list because I could not find my favorite episode, which is where everything gets kind of back higgledy-piggledy.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Right.
remember what the crux of
Right.
the biscuit was,
Yeah.
but for some reason,
All right.
the mouse is chasing the cat and the cat is chasing the dog and they're all going around and everything's backwards.
right.
And then it stops and Spike sits down, gets out an adding machine, has like the green visor, the account green, and he sits there, cat won't chase mouse. Mouse chases cat. And he does all the thing and he looks at the screen and he goes, it don't figure. It's the most hilarious thing ever, but I couldn't find it. I
Because
don't
you
know.
never hear him talk
Yeah,
either.
right,
And-
exactly.
Yeah.
It don't figure.
Because in real life, the cat will eventually catch the mouse.
Yes.
But in the cartoon, the mouse has, you know,
The
some,
wits.
some
Yes.
special powers and, you know.
But they are because
Yeah.
to a degree, mice are pretty crafty.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway, one other thing I want to say before I move on is the episode, I forget when his uncle comes over and he keeps pulling the whisker off of Tom because he keeps breaking a string on his guitar.
I love that.
And he's going, Mino mana Nino, but a crambone.
Nino Ratter, Nino Ratter, crambone, Nino Ratter,
Nino, but a crambone. All right.
That's the hard
number
part there.
From
Everyone
you,
at Corton,
Donald.
he did ride Crambone.
That's the hard part there. All right. So number 2 for me is what television used to be, where networks used to actually take part of their budget to do good for humanity.
Yes.
Like the news used to be non-profitable. So they would do the news to be betterment of humanity, to inform the public. Now it's all for profit. Yep. But back when we were watching Saturday morning cartoons,
I know where you're going.
They
man.
had the
he's going to my number 2.
Schoolhouse
Yes.
Rocks.
I love it.
That was the short I was
Yeah.
talking about that I was going to speak of later.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I had
Nope,
to be
it's
the
not
one.
a pick 'em on.
All right.
Conjunction, junction, what's your function?
Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
Conjunction, junction, how's that function?
I got 3 favorite cards that get most of my job done.
Conjunction, junction, what's their function?
I got and, but, and, or. They'll get you pretty far.
I loved it because they were
Awesome.
shorts. They're commercials, but they were informative commercials. They were catchy. It was music.
Educational.
Lolly,
Yeah.
lolly, lolly, get your adverbs
here.
here.
Yes.
Lolly,
Adverbs
lolly,
here.
lolly, get your adverbs here. I mean, I can
I'm
still think of
just
that
a
today.
bill.
You know, like
I'm only
Yes,
a bill.
I'm only
Yep.
a bill.
Yep.
Yes.
They talked about the
Conjunction, junction, what's your
numerals
function?
and language and politics
Math,
and
everything,
math.
yeah.
Yeah, like they went down the spectrum to try to educate,
Yeah.
and that was cool. And
It
they
was
did it in a cool
awesome.
way
Instead of indoctrinate like
Right.
they do now.
right.
Very
I'm just a bill.
music. Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
always
great
music.
great music.
You know,
Yep.
it was fun
Yep.
as hell.
Yeah, there was
Absolutely.
Bob Duro, Jack Sheldon, just to name a few of the performers that would sing the songs, and they were really good. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just a bill, and
What
I'm
a
sitting
great-
here
yeah.
on Capitol Hill.
I'm glad someone picked it because I was just going to mention it at the end because it was
Well,
such short.
2 of
Yeah,
us
they were
picked it
shorts,
at number
but-
2.
Go ahead.
Oh, you
Because
got it? All right.
that is
Yeah.
also my number 2 because it was. I mean, it was.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
It was great stuff. We just like we learned classical music from Bugs Bunny. Because now that Bugs Bunny's been mentioned, we can talk about.
Right,
There was
right.
a lot of classical
Right.
music that you learned there.
Precisely.
There was a lot of things we learned from that, and it was great. As a matter of fact, I looked up what I saw, and it's funny when you haven't thought of these things for 40 years.
Of course.
And Naughty Number 9.
Yeah.
And it's like he found the mouse is on the pool table and the big fat cat smoking the cigar, and he grabs the mouse by the tail and ties him up and makes a cue ball out of him
Yes.
and
Nice.
breaks the rack with the mouse and whatever. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
It was wholesome and
Sadly,
educational, you know.
it started, and so they did multiplication rock for a series. They did grammar. Later on, they did American and science. Science was 79.
Yeah.
Computer rock was 84, which makes sense.
Yep.
The sad part is then they co-opted and made it a thing, because I was reading that what happened is, like, after the Bush Gore election and everything got, kind of funky and whatever
Right.
else.
Hank and Chad.
So they started the Hanging Chads, absolutely. So then they started making Schoolhouse Rock. I wasn't aware of it. I never saw them because I wasn't watching cartoons in
Right.
2000.
Right.
But they started making like Schoolhouse Rock cartoons to explain how the Electoral College works, which was really just a way to, quell people's like, oh, little Johnny,
them in.
this is why
Exactly.
this election got stolen or
Right.
whatever. You know what I mean? It's
we
like,
got to abolish the
so we should probably have some
more.
more Schoolhouse Rock stuff coming out in the next few years. Anyway,
We should, yes.
So anyway, that was also my number 2, Don.
good.
Frightening that our
Sorry.
brains are on
Yeah.
this. No, not at all.
That's great. I'm glad.
It's just
I'm
weird
glad
how
you guys picked it.
It's strange how sometimes that we not only come up with the same pick, we come up with the same pick in the same position.
Oh yeah,
area.
Donnie and I
Yeah.
had 2
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are at our number 1
Dun,
mark.
dun, dun, dun.
I love the Stones. Can't believe they've been doing it all these years. Fred and Barney.
Yes.
So yeah, the Flintstones. It was based on the Honeymooners, as we know. We talked about that during our our sitcom episode, and obviously Fred and
Oh, you
Wilma-
mean when Donnie took it illegally?
Yeah, no, that was illegal. Damn it.
I fully apologize. I didn't get the memo.
It will be noted on your permanent
Go
record.
on,
Office
brother.
Space reference there. I didn't get the memo. Did you
All
get
right,
the memo?
so
Did you get
Barney
the
and
memo?
Betty-
We're not putting TPS sheets on the top. Put cover letters on the top of our TPS reports.
It's okay, Mark.
All right, so yeah, the Flintstones. You got Fred and Wilma. They slept in separate beds still.
They had to.
They had
right?
off screen. It was the 50s. It was or whatever.
1960 to 66.
Yeah,
and
they-
ran.
Brady Bunch was the first one they
Yeah.
could be in the same bed together.
Right.
Barney
Yep.
and
They
Betty,
had to
obviously.
keep it clean.
I mean, he worked at a stone place.
He was
Everything
a
was
blue collar
made.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely blue collar. Worked his ass off.
Yep.
And he was so talented.
He was talented.
I mean, he was an
Corey?
incredible bowler. Had a very
Incredible.
unorthodox style. He walked on his toes.
Yep.
And my God, could he sing?
He was the Grand
Listen to the
Poobah, right?
Mockingbird.
He was the Grand Poobah,
He
yeah.
could sing
like-
like a
He was
banshee.
civically
he was an
minded.
incredible
Yeah.
singer.
Yes.
What was the song?
Listen to the Mockingbird.
Yes.
That was one of them.
Yep.
But,
I used to love the little alien.
Gazoo.
The great Gazoo.
Dum dums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple dum dums.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Donnie, you've been a firefighter your whole life. You would have loved this job.
Oh, in the fire.
You would have
department
been
in
been
Bedrock?
sleeping all day. You
Oh,
wouldn't have had
yeah.
to worry
Yeah.
in the world.
And
And
stuff still burns, even if it's in a stone house, right?
I'll never
That's
forget
true.
though
Yeah.
the episode when they had a fire and they didn't know what to
Because it hadn't been invented yet.
do because everything was made out of rock.
They had a working camera.
Right.
So anyway, they had all these creatures that did everything. To cut the grass, to do
Yep.
the dishes, all that stuff.
Employees.
Yeah. And, they would start the car by running their legs.
Yeah. It's kind of like a jump start or a run start. Yeah.
But I have to bring up somebody that is unheralded. And this is who Fred always threatened to hang out with. Maybe Barney did too. But when Barney and Fred fought, which was often, very, very often, Joe Rockhead was his secondary friend. He was like, I'm going to go hang out with Joe Rockhead,
Forgot
Barney.
about Joe Rockhead.
Yeah, he's gonna.
How
be
could
the
you forget
bowling
about Joe
partner.
Rockhead?
Was he like a single guy kind of
He's just the buddy that they'd use if they were upset.
And of course, he would fight with Wilma
was
all
a
the
gigolo
time.
kind of guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Wilma would always be right, of course, just like
Oh, Betty and Wilma they're beautiful women.
They
Oh, they're
are.
gorgeous.
Strong.
very strong,
Women,
very
yeah,
fit,
just-
probably
beautiful,
eat a couple cheeseburgers
good moms,
or
good
brontosaurus.
wives.
Brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus.
Yeah,
burgers.
brontosaurus
yeah,
burgers.
yeah.
All right. Now I'm only cutting you off unless you're not done.
I'm all done, in case you
Because
guys.
You damn well know that my number fargin one is the Flintstones
You
as well.
I got number
saw.
one. Next week, you go number one.
That's right.
So
Anyway,
this is my week.
what more can I say? You had your week last week at number 2.
Yes,
too.
I
You
know,
got
but
lucky.
I'm pretty strategic.
Anyway, what an incredible friggin' show. Just as Mark said, based on the Honeymooners, just everything about it was so clever. Like, just every one of, as we said, employees, like the camera, of course, we have the bird chiseling it out.
Yeah.
And just everything, the clock, just
The newspapers.
yeah, the news Arnold. How about the newspaper boy Arnold? Little pain in the ass, but
Gazoo, I
just
love
they
Gazoo.
always had so many great shows.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the modern Stone Age family. From the town of Bedrock, they're a page right out of his story.
But anyway, just such a great, great, fun cartoon, and it's also something that I really wanted to say about it is it's the first cartoon in history with a prime time slot.
Wow.
All right, so number 1 to you, Donald.
My number one is Fat Albert.
Oh, nice.
Because that is a cartoon that I watched religiously. I loved it. Still remember a lot of stuff today. It's unfortunate that, Bill Cosby went down a dark path, unfortunately, because that is one of the greatest cartoons ever. For me, it was, I loved the integration between live action and cartoon.
Yeah.
Like he would throw something and it would turn into a cartoon, or they would throw
great.
something and it would turn into real. I love that. I love the Brown Hornet, what's wrong here? I love the band, playing junkyard instruments,
Trash
and,
bag covers, and
being buddies, and learning life lessons and all that good stuff. It was just a great show.
feel good show for sure, man.
I love Rudy. So Rudy's the kind of, he was arrogant, but I loved his walk, and I can't describe it other than put your feet like 3 feet in front of you.
I'm doing it,
and then like catch your body up to your feet, and then just repeat.
That was Rudy.
and wave
had
your
like a
arms
groove,
back and
right.
forth too. Yep.
I'll do it after the show. I'll try to do it.
See, he never took off that winter cap, right?
that
No,
was
that was Dumb
Russell.
Donald.
No, Dumb Donald wore the cap.
Yeah.
Russell
Russell
wore
okay,
the
yes.
Russian hat. What is it called? A Yusaka. Yusaka? Is that
Saka?
It's a Russian hat.
No,
You suck a motherfucker.
Not
No,
a
so
babushka?
Dumb Donald had his face covered. So
Yeah.
Dumb
Yes.
Donald was the one that wore loose-fitting clothing, wore a knit stocking with the eyes cut out.
And his head looked like a clam.
Russell wore the big blue jacket with the Russian Usaka.
Right.
Usaka?
Usaka.
Hat, whether it was 100 degrees out or winter.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. There was the Bucktooth Kid, Old Weird Harold,
Yes.
Mushmouth, which we used to. That's the language that Mushmouth used to use is called Uba Doobie. I don't know if that's
Uba doobie, what?
Uba Doobie,
Ooba dooby.
but it's an American dialect of language.
and we learned most of
Right?
it.
Yeah. Yeah. But this great stuff. So
I love that show so
Incredible.
much. I still watch it today.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
A million times.
Incredible.
Great moral
With
life lessons from a degenerate.
I know, but I would sit there.
Which I don't think he was at the time.
I've heard that it goes back pretty far.
Really? Oh boy. Oh great. Oh.
We'll never know.
No,
I know.
we weren't there. We don't
You'll
know.
never
we don't
know. Fornication.
We're doomed.
We're doomed.
Yeah.
I did hear Eddie Murphy not too long ago say that he said, if you had told me back in the 80s that I'd be a family man and Bill Cosby would be in prison, I would not have believed you.
No shit, right?
Right. They used to share jokes. I mean, Eddie Murphy used to crank on him
Bill
all the
Cosby
time.
all the time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Filth, flarn, filth. You can't say the filth.
All right. So, Kevin, finish us off at number one.
All right. Before I even do number one, I just have to throw this out there because I cannot believe that I forgot one of my all-time favorite characters, and I didn't even think of it till you mentioned Kazoo. It made me think of Marvin the Martian.
Yeah.
Your things make me very angry.
The P-36 explosive space annihilator.
Yes, he's going to blow up the Earth so he had a better view of the moon.
And it was like a firecracker.
At last, after 2,000 years of work, the Illudium Q-36 explosive space modulator.
Yeah,
It was like a ladyfinger size thing.
An age where you-
So
It's a lifelong goal.
So anyway, I was afraid that AJ was going to take my number one at the very beginning. Was that the what did you start with? You started with the G-Force, right?
Battle of the Planets.
So Battle of the Planets. So you started with that, and my heart sunk because this one is so dear to me, and I'm actually going to try to look it up and start watching it again. It was after school. It was on in the afternoons, and it was a format that nobody had ever seen before, and it was the beginning and the end of anime for me because I did not follow that route. It doesn't really hold anything for me, but it originally started as Space Battle Yamamoto in Japan, and then in 1974, and then it was rehashed, dubbed, and whatever, brought here to the States and called Star Blazers.
Yes.
Oh.
You had, what was it, Derek Wildstar and Oh my God. And actually the guy that voiced the Captain Avatar his name was Gordon Ramsay, not the
chef.
Not the chef.
Yeah.
But basically it was a World War II a battleship that was converted to a spaceship after the Gamelons attacked the Earth, and they were off to go to Iskandar, and I can't remember what it was.
Now, what the hell is a Gamelon?
It's an evil alien. Right. But it was just a great show. I'd never seen anything like it before, and it was. They say it was the first serial as far as cartoons in our time,
right.
that you had to watch it in order.
Right,
It
right.
didn't
Right.
So it was always like you
series.
couldn't miss an episode, so you had to
Yeah.
be home at 3:00 or whatever
Right.
time it was on because you needed to know what was going to happen next.
Absolutely,
And I think
right.
that was when I was I've been 9 years old, and I still don't know what happened because I don't know if it went off the air or,
Right.
or what. But there were 3 seasons. There was a couple movies that tied the story together in between. And just like I say, it was so exciting and such a fun show, and it just kind of disappeared.
Absolutely. And what's funny about that is how, I forget what G-Force or Battle of the Planets was called. It was like Hey Man or something. It was something so stupid, in Japan, something you wouldn't expect. But anime kind of disappeared for years, and now it's what do they call it now? Like manga or something?
Yeah.
There's
anime.
8 billion
But just
different
different all the things
subgenres.
that they were like the Godzilla stuff. That was the creature double feature back when we were kids.
Oh.
Now it's all the Godzilla universe stuff.
Right.
Yeah, well, I saw Godzilla versus Megalon. I was the only one in the entire theater rooting for Megalon.
I would love to be
the only one rooting for
But it was like the Voltron,
Yeah, that's
not the Transformers, but the Voltron. It was like they all had their own little ship, and then they formed one creature. That was all Japanese anime
Fantastic
type
Four,
stuff. Yeah.
and I mean that was not anime though. Sorry, that's irrelevant. But anyway,
That is
awesome.
irrelevant.
Awesome.
Can we shout out some of the ones that we missed? Because so
although
many.
mine are all deleted. Top Cat.
Oh.
I'm saying
Top
Top
Cat.
Cat.
I always love the gimmick on that where he was like he'd go somewhere and he'd be back 2 seconds later. They're like, sorry, it took so long.
Heckle
I
and
got held
Jekyll.
up in trappic. There was always
Heckle and Jekyll.
Heckle and
Very
Jekyll.
funny.
Yes,
Jekyll was a great
They were
one.
great.
They were funny. Yeah.
Speedy and Slowpoke Gonzalez.
Oh,
Hey,
Slowpoke.
Speedy.
Josie and the Pussycat.
Josie and the
It
Pussycat.
was on
long
my list.
hair and ears to match.
Wowsy, woo, woo.
Yep.
Captain
Caveman.
Love Captain
Yep.
Yeah.
He was great. How about the Herculoids?
The Herculoids.
That's where I was saying
Yes,
Gleep and
yes,
Gloop.
yes,
Yep.
exactly. I thought that. Oh, what about
Space
the
Ghost.
Blue Falcon and Dynamut?
Yeah.
Johnny
Way to go,
Quest.
BF.
Blue Falcon.
Johnny Quest.
Incredible.
Johnny
What was
Quest
it?
was fun. Habib
Something
was
no
in that
one has said. Sorry, go on,
Yeah.
Mark.
Johnny Quest, he had Habib, and I don't know if they won the Bud Pool or not, but
I won the bad pool.
But
I
not
loved that show
one
as a
of
child.
us had the Jetsons.
I know.
And
Yeah.
I was surprised because that was on my honorables.
Yep.
And
Spacely Sprockets.
Yeah.
Lord of lightning, God of thunder.
Underdog. He was on my
He was
show
on my
list.
list. Yeah.
Underdog. Oh man.
Adam-
Awesome.
What was the female dog?
Adam
Adam
Ant and Secret Squirrel.
Yep. Incredible.
Tennessee Tuxedo.
Tennessee Tuxedo. That was Don Adams, right?
Yeah, it was Don Adams.
Snagglepuss. Exit stage left even.
So here's a big snub that we all snubbed was Yogi Bear.
I had him.
man.
I had Hey Boo Boo.
Hey, way to go there, boo boo.
And the Ranger.
Like,
and,
a bear that is like
Yeah.
a grizzly bear that is
Stealing?
considered an evil animal, but he was like, he just stole picnic.
Yeah.
And he
a tie and
also
a
had
hat.
an
Yeah.
ascot, didn't he?
He had a
Was it
tie, I think. Yeah, tie, a collar,
Very
and a hat.
classy.
But it was also, think of all the shows that were integrated with the Yogi Bear Hour.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Right.
like
Yeah.
just, like, what was it? Huckleberry Hound was
Yeah.
one of them.
Hound,
Who's the
yep.
pink one? Wasn't the Pink Panther who nobody had as
Right.
well?
I was just going to say
Yeah.
the Pink Panther, which is one of the greatest.
Was it Snagglepuss?
So-
Maybe the
music
pink
as well.
guy was Snagglepuss.
Snagglepuss was pink. Yeah.
Okay.
Exit stage left even. And Nobody mentioned. Yeah, done it again, Magoo.
Mr. Magoo.
Magoo. That was on my list too.
Yeah, of course he had the manservant that was Chinese, so we can't talk about that. But
was that Fred Baxter?
Get out of the way, Roadhog.
No, that was Burt Backus. That was Mr. Howell.
Then why did I say
Thurston
Fred
Howell
Baxter?
III?
What was his name again? Fred Backus?
Fred Backus, yes.
All right,
Backus.
I said Baxter. Sorry, Mr. Howell. Sorry.
Awesome.
Tell Lovey
I say love him.
Love him. All right. Well, friggin' awesome episode, guys. Everyone out there, I thank you so much for listening. And Donald, I thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, I thank you.
You're welcome, AJ. And
Kevin,
tell all your buddies out there to listen to our show.
I do my best. And Kevin, thank you for your hosting and the beautiful food we are about to eat, which are baby back ribs.
Baby back. I got my baby back.
In the smoker.
Yes. But anyway,
yes.
Baby back.
Awesome episode, everyone. And we are out.
When I'm slow on the draw and I need something to chaw, I hanker for a hunk of cheese. When my 10-gallon hat's a feeling 5 gallons flat, I got something planned, which is little cheese sandwiches. Come on! Here's a great little snack to tide you over till dinner. If you want something delicious and nutritious, cheese is a super snack. Look, a wagon wheel. When my get up and go has got up and went, I hanker for a hunk of cheese. When I'm dancing a hold down and my boots kind of slow down, or anytime I'm weak in the knees, I hanker for a hunk of, a slab or slice of chunk of, a snack that is a winner, and yet won't spoil my dinner. I hanker for a hunk of cheese.
You've been listening to Pastimes at 80's High. Our passion is the nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. When times were more simple, times were more fun.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And we weren't stuck in our phones all day.
Inconceivable!
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can send an email to pastimes@80shigh@gmail.com and hit the website at pastimes@80shigh.com. See you next time.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.